Open your mouth. Take a gulp of air and say thank you. Look at your hands. Think what you've eaten for breakfast and where it originated before it got to Tesco or to Pennycook. Jump off the ground. Go on. The earth we live on is called Midlothian. The soil around us is brown soil or mineral glaze, depending on where exactly we live. Look around you. Look out the window. Think of what you saw yesterday. What colours and life is all around you? When did you last share something? It's ironic that at this stage in our human development, our interdependence upon one another has never been greater, whilst at the same time in the West, the sense that life is the possession of an individual, it's my life, has never been stronger. I remember a few years ago when I asked primary school children at Harvest about where different objects came from. I held up a jar of coffee, a shirt, an iPhone. Tesco, came the reply, every single time. We don't know the chain of people that each day work for our good. The thousands of faceless people who provide services that we benefit from daily for our food, for our comfort, our household comforts, so that we might enjoy daily a cup of coffee. The phone that we look at, where the coltan comes from, is Eastern Congo. Left to yourself, could you build a car engine? Grow your own food? Make your own clothes? Not to mention watch events from other parts of the world. Our interdependence upon one another is a spiritual insight, a spiritual gift. It connects us to the earth, to one another, and to the ways of God. So we give thanks. This is more than politeness. As Christians, it's an orientation of the heart. In the face of consumerism, it is a spiritual discipline. It is a recognition that this is God's world and we are part of His great creation. This is not just for when things are going well. And I wonder what you can give thanks for as you look back over these difficult past 6 months. Let me tell you a story about our world. One morning, the sun got up in a bad mood. I'm really tired of getting up every morning and giving light to the earth day after day, it said. I'm tired of ripening the corn and melting the snow. What does that human race ever do for me in return? The sun was still thinking this over when the rain arrived. Lady Rain, the sun remarked, you water the earth all the time and make the flowers grow. You turn the fields green and fill up the rivers. What does the human race ever do for you in return? Hearing this, the rain furrowed her brow, broke out into a terrible noise and fell headlong onto the earth. Listen, Mother Earth, you let humankind work you, rip you open, scratch and scrape you. What does the human race ever do for you in return? The earth turned into its own furrows and murmured to the little grain of wheat. You let yourself die so that humankind can eat bread. What does the human race ever do for you? And so, the sun stopped shining, the rain stopped falling, the earth stopped holding the grain stopped germinating, and life disappeared from the face of the earth. Eventually the sun became bored. because there's no longer any children dancing in its warmth and light. The rain grew sad at never seeing the smile of the gardener in her garden. The earth became weary at never hearing the joyful steps of the labourer on her back, and the grain of wheat began to rot in solitude. They decided to have a meeting with God the Creator. Lord, everything is dying in this universe you created so good and fruitful. Give back life to the earth, we beg you. God replied, My friends, I have given you everything you need to support life on earth. Life cannot be born except of you and between you. And life will be born anew if each of you shares of its nature with all of creation. For life is born out of a sharing of life, and where cooperation is refused, life cannot be. In these times of lockdown, being in our houses and being able to have delivery vans bring us such a plethora of stuff to our very own doors, the term harvest might seem like a notion from the last century. And yet we need to learn that natural generosity of God, of giving things away. Does someone need a car, a computer? Give them yours. Of enjoying things without owning them. Beaches, parks, libraries. And look to develop a deeper appreciation of the inherent value and not just the usefulness of creation. Touching the earth with our hands and feet. So together we join on this Harvest Sunday with the psalmist to thank God for everything that we have received, to reflect afresh on our place as part of God's creation, and to work to share better the goodness God has given for all God's people. Amen.